Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be another amazing episode of Thursday Thyroid Talks. How's everyone doing today? Thank you for being here. Hello everyone. It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today. It's going to be such an amazing episode with confidence coach Leah Gastler. Let's put our hands together for her. All right, Leah, I see you there. Let's go ahead and bring you on. If you could just, oh, I got it. Thank you for your request. Guys, she's so awesome.
Hey.
There you
How's
are.
it going?
Hi, beautiful. It's going so good. I've had the best morning. What about you?
It's been an interesting morning. It's been a little all over the place for me. Had to really clear some energy out and then reclaim it for myself. So it's been good. Yeah.
I love that. Good. I love that you say that because not a lot of people even know what that is. So maybe we could touch on that
Yeah,
a little bit
definitely.
in this episode. So can you hear me okay?
I
Looks
can
a
hear
little
you
glitchy
okay.
on my
Yeah.
end.
Is my camera glitching for you?
It's a little like
Uh,
slow, pixelated, a little bit, but I
yeah.
don't know if that's you or me. But it's
Yeah, it's
okay as
working
long
fine
as
for
the
me.
audio is
So
good.
if we have
We're
issues
good.
with it, I can try moving. It should be.
Yeah, okay, no worries. All right, well, I have thought about this all week. I love talking to you. We just recently started talking more, and every time I have a conversation with you, I get off and I'm like, wow,
Oh,
she's
thank
amazing.
you.
I seriously love her. So, yeah. All right, so for everyone that doesn't have the pleasure of talking to you all the time like I do,
Sure.
let's do some introductions. So why don't you go ahead and just, I like to start off with the basics of like your name, maybe where you are, and then start at like
Okay.
the beginning of your story. I love stories. It's so important for us to share our stories so we can like really, connect with each other. And then, so how you went from her
Okay, cool.
to
Yeah. So my
confidence
name's Leah
coach.
Gastler. I'm in Connecticut right now. And I am a confidence coach for women. And my mission with this is really helping women reclaim their power, their agency in their lives. For me, that has a spirit of rebellion against all of the good girl programming that we have, all of the playing by the rules of all of the systems that we have in our world, that give us the idea of how we should live our lives and who we should listen to for that instruction of how to live our lives, and really reclaiming our ownership of our passion, our purpose, our vitality, and the life that we really want to live. So for me, my story goes back to actually my all of my training was in music. It was classical music. I spent a whole lifetime learning to become the best violist and violin. Originally it was violin, but then I switched to glitching. Hang on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a little glitchy. So I think it got
Okay,
better.
yeah, it got better.
Okay, so start over. So originally you were a
Yes, yes. I
violinist.
was a violinist and violist. Violist is, for those of you who aren't classically informed, viola is just like a bigger violin that's a little bit lower in pitch. So basically the same thing. But yeah, so all of my training was in that. I went to some of the best conservatories in the country, Juilliard, Rice in Texas. Spent like it felt like a lifetime being in that career. And basically felt really, really unself-expressed there, like really stifled by it. Not the fault of classical music, although I did blame classical music for a while, but really that I wasn't following my own path. And I had just really let myself go down a track of thinking that I was doing a thing that I was good at and people loved that I did it. And like, I really lived for affirmation of other people, like that it was good what I was doing and it was cultural and high value and all of this stuff. I felt like it was a whole world of good girl vibes there that I was playing by. And at the same time, I've always kind of had this rebellious edge about it. And it just took a while for me to like really realize that the life that I had built in over like many years, I went to 9 years of conservatory degrees post high school, like 9 years of college for this. It took me a long time to realize that this was not the life that I wanted, that I wasn't owning my creative power. I wasn't owning my purpose. I was avoiding my creative power and purpose because it didn't look the way that I thought it should look, you know? And and so I really just had to go through this process of reclaiming myself, and creating a life that I was lit up by. And so I ventured into all sorts of different, personal development to do that, and career changes. And finally realized that personal development was the passion. You know what I mean? Like I've always been interested in personal development all throughout my life. I've always been reading the books, and then it took me so long to realize, like, oh, this is my passion. Like, living our biggest, boldest, best lives is our purpose. Like, a lot of times we wonder what our purpose is as humans, and it's like, it really is being our fully expressed self. It's not like our purpose is like a career or something we live, something we aspire to. It's like, our purpose is to free ourselves, to reclaim our lives, to reclaim our passions, to like be fully who we are. And so that is like the path that I've taken, and the path that I help people take now, is just like reconnecting to who you really are as the authority of your life, and living from there. Yeah. So
Wow. What a
yeah.
very interesting journey. I'm curious, what as a child or as a teenager, what drew you to the music?
Well, what drew me to classical music? Honestly, I mean, if I'm really being honest, I mean, it was a people-pleasing thing when I was a kid. Like, I wanted to make my dad happy with me when I was 6, And
Wow. Did he listen to
yeah,
classical?
like
Was
he
that his
loved it,
thing?
and he still loves it. And now, like, we've moved past that. Like, I obviously had to work on a lot of things there, in terms of finding my value by doing what other people wanted me to do, specifically parental figures. But he it's not like he assigned me this value, because it was a 6-year-old thing, like, oh, my dad loves that I do this, so I'm gonna just pour my life into this because my dad will love me for it. You know what I mean? And that, that's just it's like,
Yeah.
it's things that we do when we're little, that our little kid mind thinks safety is this thing, making people feel pleased with us, and we're safe that way. And as long as we keep doing the things that other people say is the right thing to do, or they're happy with it, then we're safe. And so, you know, I feel vulnerable saying, I did it because my dad loved it, but honestly, as a 6-year-old, that's why I did it. And I kept doing it because I had this misconstrued idea that what I was good at was what I should be doing. I was good at it. I was really good at it. And I was really good at it because I was really good at following instruction. I was really good at, I was naturally talented at it. And I thought that meant that I should, keep doing that. And I also thought that I didn't have anything else that I was good at outside of that. Like, I didn't have any value outside of that, because for the most part, I didn't explore value outside of that, my value outside of that. I mean, I didn't really get that my value is, that all of our value is intrinsic and not dependent on what we're doing in the world in the first place. So it was very measured for me.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. It takes a lot of confidence to actually be able to open up and share that. And one of the things that, it's funny because when I was in my 20s, I always heard jokes, you know, about like, oh, the people that had the midlife crisis and they have to start going back and healing all of their childhood trauma. And it was almost like it was a bad thing, you know, like, oh, these people have all these problems from their childhood. And it's like, that's actually a real thing. And it's something that a lot of us actually do have to do, and that's okay. And actually, if you can confront that and face it and start working through it, then you actually do have more confidence and purpose and value to yourself.
You get so much freedom from it. And it, you know, I remember when I first started doing that kind of work, like self-healing work, and really going back and doing inner child stuff and going back to those memories and like why I am who I am, you know, like how I became the person I ended up being. It's not like how we are our true selves, but how we just ended up being the person we ended up being. And really looking at like those moments, those pivotal moments in our childhood where we created like a story about who we are, you know? I mean, I remember being really scared to go into that stuff because it was like things that we really avoid looking at. But the more you do that and be vulnerable with yourself enough to go and feel feelings that we really didn't, most of us didn't actually process or feel or allow ourselves to like really experience a feeling of, for example, you know, like, I mean, when you're young, like feelings of abandonment and things like that feel so terrifying. You just do whatever you can to make them go away, you know, feelings of like not being valuable or not being worthy and things like that. And you do everything you can to try and grab onto it from an outside place, something to hold on to. And so it takes so much to, at an adult age, go back and like try and unravel these things. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes to look at stuff and just notice how you made up a story, or not even made up a story, but just how you survived your childhood and became the person you are today. And sometimes those things that we chose to do when we were children no longer serve us. And a lot of times that's, for me, the things that I find is like being a good, dutiful girl and playing by the rules, you know, they just, we get a lot of training about that. And a lot of the stuff that I've been looking at lately is about that, you know, rebelling against the good girl things and reclaiming ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. So real fast before we go on, the video is still pretty glitchy, so your audio doesn't match your video. Is it possible?
I can move and see if it's better.
Let
me try. Yeah.
If that's not too much to ask.
Maybe let me sign off and then sign back on, okay? Does that work?
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Sorry, everyone. We'll just work out these little technical difficulties so you guys can have the best experience. Wow, we already touched on some really heavy-duty stuff. I love these. I love these talks. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see if we can get her camera just a little more clear. Hey, girly, thanks for being here. Hey, you guys. So my guest is having technical issues. She just logged off to try to get a better Wi-Fi connection, and she's going to come back on. But just stay here with me. Hang tight. This is going to be really good. She drops amazing nuggets. Okay, here she is. All right, it's coming on.
All right, it's better here.
Okay. Yeah.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you so much.
And just let me know if it gets weird again, and I'll try and find the best spot here.
Yeah, no problem. I know. When I come upstairs and I'm in the backside of my house,
yeah.
I'm so far away from the modem, it happens too. So I get it. Yeah. So you did a post the other day that really spoke to me. And it was the one about, you know, the I don't give a, and it was talking about bringing back your high school rebellion. And for me, because I was such a rebel in high school, I mean, I rebelled I kind of have the
Mhm.
typical rebellious story because I was raised in such a
Yeah.
strict religious home. I just went
Yeah.
like ape
Yeah.
shit when I was 14. And it was like
Yeah.
the best years of my life. And I remember when I was in
Mhm.
that rebellious state, it was the most connected I ever have
I'm
felt
so glad
to
you said
myself.
that.
And seriously, and over the past year of all of the self-exploration and healing that I've been doing, I've I've actually said out loud, I'm going to reconnect to who I was in high school because that's when I was the most
Yeah.
confident, badass, and I
Yeah.
loved myself.
Absolutely. I totally feel you. I have been doing the same thing. Like I've been like I want to reconnect to her. Like there was something about those teenage years, and I don't know what it is biologically, chemically that we're going through those years, but we're like willing to say F you to the rules, and we're willing to kind of be, or I was like, if you go through that
Mm-hmm.
rebellious stage, be kind of reckless about it, like unabashed about it, like just, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that post, so it was like, I was rediscovering this kind of F it up vibes, I'm just gonna F it up. Like, who the F cares? I'm gonna F this up. I don't give an F.
Yeah.
And I was noticing though, the shift for me is that in high school, I don't give an F. I didn't know what the vision for on the other side of that. It was more negatively steeped. I just wanted to like say F you to everybody and
Mm-hmm.
just peace out. You know what I mean? like I'd be
Mm-hmm.
fine to like disappear. I don't know. Now it's like as an adult and especially as a mom, it's like a creative
Mm-hmm.
energy, a creative energy with the I don't give an F. It's like back in high school, I had a destructive energy about it.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I was
Yeah,
like, what drugs can I
yeah,
do? How much can I
yeah.
drink?
And now
Yeah.
on the other side,
Yeah.
it's an empowered energy. So it's like reclaiming it as an empowered energy to be like, I don't give an F what this person thinks about me, what this system says about me if I do this thing, like what all the rules are that are keeping me that I feel hanging on me, judgment hanging on me. I don't give an F about all of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go full in on my inner knowing, like my life. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels reckless because all of a sudden you're not playing by somebody else's rules. But yeah,
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 you're not in the
exactly.
safety
And so
zone.
you don't have
Mm-hmm.
somebody else out there to hang on to
Mm-hmm.
be like, am I doing it? Am I doing right? Am I doing good? But
Mm-hmm. So, one of the areas that my audience, I think,
mhm,
oh no, I know. It's kind of like half and half. So, um,
yeah,
when you say systems, I appreciate that you say that because one of the things that thyroid warriors are struggling with is doctors trying to
yeah,
control them, control their bodies, control their health, control um, and that control is through the medication. They use the fear tactics. I really truly believe it's a dark system that is very much manipulating and
mhm,
harming women in particular. And one of the things that my mission in life is to
yeah,
re-empower women. And I love your I'm gonna F it up vibes because for me, that's what it took for me to, like you said, like reclaim myself, but
yeah,
reclaim my health. I had to actually consciously look at the medical system and say,
yeah,
F you all. I don't care if you're
mhm,
Eastern, Western, none of
mhm.
you have done right by me.
Mhm.
I'm done. I call it the double middle finger walk away, and I had to reclaim what
Yeah,
medications I was putting in my body, And actually take radical responsibility for my health and sit down and be like, okay, I have 25 symptoms. Why? I feel sick every day. I can't function. Why? You know, and I had to learn to empower myself. So I love what you're saying because it goes right
absolutely.
into that.
I mean, the fact that we can subscribe to systems that don't work, like, it blows my mind. And we do it all over the place. Like, I mean, if you look at systems, I mean, there are so many, right? Like, I mean, there are so many systems at play that don't deliver the result that that they say they're delivering. And yet we still blindly follow them because it's the prescribed thing to do, or the only thing we think that there is to do. You know, sometimes it's the only thing we think there is to do is follow, in this case, a doctor's orders, you know? And yet, and yet we find that they don't deliver the results that we're looking for. Like, and yet we find that we don't feel free. We don't feel empowered. We don't feel healthy, you know? Like, we don't feel that vitality. And who is there to say what creates our vitality except for us really tuning into our bodies and really taking ownership over what creates that for us?
Yeah, exactly. And it's called the healthcare system, but really it's set up to be a sick care system. They manage sickness. They don't care to get people healthy. Yeah, so like you said, most people think it's like, well, then what else do we do? How do we empower ourselves away from these systems? Right? And so I personally think that's where like coaches are really coming into the light. And especially like us women, I feel like women are starting to step up for other women.
Yeah. And really, I mean, even giving ourselves permission, like, this is a lot of what coaches and female coaches do, like giving ourselves permission to trust ourselves over another person. And even in the new like era of coaching, you know, like, where the coach is no longer the guru, that it doesn't prescribe things, you know, like, coaches lead you back to yourself and lead you back to your power. And that's the purpose, you know. That's like, that's where the key, that's where the freedom is, that's where the vitality is, that's where the answers are. And so like, giving yourself the permission to trust your inner knowing, your body, what your body is telling you. And that's really where the answers lie. Like, that's where we get the information.
Right, exactly. So going back to confidence, there is definitely a lack of confidence that the majority of women resonate to me, like in my intake forms. And I think that is connected with their purpose. The majority of women report to me that they feel like they have no purpose in life and they feel like they have no confidence. I feel like the self-esteem, confidence, purpose is all very intertwined. And so I loved what you said at the beginning, where you say what you said again about your purpose is. And you said just like, you know, the way you said it earlier was so beautiful. And I really want to like reiterate that, because I feel like we have been like the systems, you know, college and all these things is like, oh, find your purpose in life. Well, usually purpose we associated with like career and money.
Yeah.
Right? So why can't we see our purpose being like just being an amazing like mother is such a huge purpose.
Yes.
You know?
And I mean, this is huge. And and again, it's a systemic program that we have running that says that being a mother isn't a valuable enough purpose. Like, no, you have to have such and such like career credentials, accolades, career title, path, you know, money in the bank. None of that is value at all unless it's your desire. You know, if that's your desire, hell yeah. If not, then let go of it, you know. So the thing about purpose, and this was like this was something that hit me like a ton of bricks, because somebody, and her name's Talia Strega, posted it, and I will always remember it. I always have to give her credit because it was her post that landed this for me. And she said, "You are your life's purpose." And it just brought me so like a ton of bricks back into my heart and gut, you know, that a purpose is not chasing the carrot. It's not another thing like, well, you do kindergarten to get to first grade, you do ninth grade to get to 10th grade, you do high school to get to college, you do college to get to your career, you know, and then after that, you're out here like, the hell is this? Like,
Yeah. What now?
I mean, it's our purpose is to let ourselves free. You know, our purpose is to really live the fullest expression of our lives. And our purpose, to me, like, really comes back to this feeling of aliveness that you feel in your body somewhere. And that was something that when we were talking about high school rebellion, I could feel that feeling of aliveness back then, you know, like, I make the rules. I'm going to do it because I want to do it. You know, I'm going to live. Like, I'd screw this. I'm going to live. And it's,
yeah, it was about
yeah,
being spontaneous,
yes.
right? I remember, because I was raised in San Diego, and so we'd be like, what do we want to do tonight, guys? And we'd be like, let's go to Mexico.
And
like, it was so fun.
And we actually have that freedom to live with that kind of energy, you know, with that kind of freedom. We have the capacity to. It's just that we've gosh, I'm such in this revolutionary mindset. Like, we've become so indoctrinated with the systems that we can't see past our jobs. We can't see past how we're making our paycheck. We can't see past, you know, everything that we need to do just to maintain status quo. Like, we're locked into just all the things we need to do to maintain status quo, and status quo is just what we settle for now, you know. And instead of this feeling of our freedom to be our fully expressed selves, which to me is our purpose, you know. And so, like, purpose evolves as we evolve. Purpose doesn't land on a career path. For 3 years, I was an English teacher in the public school system in Houston. And at that time, that was my purpose. Like, I loved it. It was everything to me, you know. And then I had a baby, and my purpose shifted. You know, it became something that I had to move out of because it didn't align for me anymore. You know, I had been pouring all of my energy into those classes because they were like, I loved it so much. And then when I had a child, I was like, I want a new level of freedom. I want a new level of financial, you know, flexibility, growth. I want my time. I want my energy to be more of, you know, more, I need more of it because I have this little human that I want to be with. So my purpose shifted, you know, and like, that's the beauty of our purpose, is really tuning into ourselves and what we desire in our lives, and then making those moves to find ourselves aligning to it. That's the purpose.
I love this. So I can resonate with this so much. When I was when I decided to, I call it when I dropped a nuclear bomb on my life. I blew up my life. I was married for 14 years, and I was like, I'm done. I hated everything. I hated my husband. I hated my in-laws. I didn't want to be in the house I lived in. I wanted complete and total change. And one of the things that I wanted to do was find my purpose. I knew for work, I wanted to do something in the health industry. I didn't know what. That came with time. But one of the things that I started to do was just play. I just started to do things that, like, inside I was missing. Like, for example, I loved riding bikes. I hadn't ridden a bike in like 15 years. Why? I love bikes. So I
Yeah.
went for a freaking bike ride. And you know what else? I started doing
Yes.
handstands with my daughter
Yes.
and
I was just
cartwheels.
doing that the other day on the lawn with her.
It seemed right. So yeah, exactly. Like I love having a little kid around because her play, the way she plays and the way little kids are
Yeah.
so kind of free and fun, it really does reconnect you with your purpose and help you be able to explore yourself and who you want to be. And that's one of the things I teach my clients is like, what do you like that
Absolutely.
you're missing? And one of my clients, yeah, it was like one of my
Mm-hmm.
clients had a whole craft room, but she'd been so sick and so stressed out and so busy,
Yeah.
she stopped sewing. And so one of our goals was, okay, we're going to clean up your room and then we're going to get you sewing again. And halfway through she did. And she had a glow about her that was
Yes.
amazing. Just by bringing that one thing back in that made her feel like she had a purpose, because she would give hats to her like
Yeah.
nieces and nephews and stuff, you know? It was such a simple thing, but so huge on her
Absolutely.
wellness.
Absolutely. I love that you say that because yes, and it can be those simple things that just remind us about joy and freedom in our lives, you know, that just remind us that like our lives aren't just checking off boxes and making everything okay. You know, our lives aren't just about our jobs and going to work and making the paycheck and making dinner and cleaning the house. And I mean, those things can be fun sometimes too, but like, you know, it's not just about maintenance. It, yeah,
Thank you, because that's what adulthood feels like it turns
absolutely.
into, is
Yeah.
maintenance.
And
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
personally, like as a mom, I started realizing that it I'm setting a bad example for my kids
Yeah.
by putting the maintenance first.
Yeah.
And it hurts them because as moms, the biggest thing we can do is show
Yeah.
them our presence,
Yeah. Yeah. And,
you know?
and, and as moms, we have such an opportunity with our kids, like to let our kids show us, remind us about cartwheels on the lawn, you know. For real, like, and you have to,
Yeah.
I mean, for me it's like I have to sometimes surrender to it. Sometimes I'm like trying to multitask, like I'm gonna do this while my daughter's like doing this and that, you know, and and I have to like surrender to play with her, you know, and then remember that like this is this moment. It's not something I can multitask. Like it's not something I want to multitask. I want to remember what it feels like to be just have no other thing on my mind except this moment and enjoying it. And yeah, so I mean,
Right.
motherhood shifted so much for me in terms of like looking at my life, and it's like it's one of those things that can be such a challenge because you can go into maintenance so hardcore and you can go into like feeling like you're responsible for another person so hardcore. It can be very very challenging, and at the same time it's the challenge is another opportunity for us to really get um see a mirror, not only of our own childhood, because our kids will trigger that for us, you know, the things we went through that we're still holding on to, but also the joy of life that children have.
Absolutely. So let's
Yeah.
dive into confidence while we have a
Yeah.
little bit more time together. Um, I really feel like that word is kind of almost a trigger word in itself, you know, because it's like you
Yeah.
either feel like you have it or you don't, right? And if you don't have it, then you're like, well, I'll fake it till I make it. But how do you do
Absolutely.
that? You know? So what has been like your experience with like maybe going from a place of no confidence to confidence, or
Yeah.
what's your take
So
on
for me,
confidence?
confidence was always something I was missing. I was like, if I just had confidence, that's all I, I, I wanted confidence, you know, I wanted, and as a classical musician, it was like I wanted to go on stage and feel confident when I played, not feel like I'm about to puke, like I'm about to like drop my instrument and like everybody is going to realize I have no idea what I'm doing, you know, like all the imposter syndrome and stuff. And it did not matter what degrees I got. Like I got degrees from some of the best schools in the world, and it did not matter. That did not make me confident. It didn't, you know. It made me feel even more like, even more imposter syndrome, to be honest. You know, I felt like everything was an audition. So that for me, like confidence, was huge. It was a huge part of my journey, and it really started with reclaiming myself. Hang on, let me go back to this so I can kind of remember how this
Did you consider yourself a
I've
shy
always
person?
been, yeah, I've always been an
like
introvert. I'm definitely an introverted person. And I definitely was always a people pleaser, approval seeking person. So my problem with confidence was really that like I was always running something through somebody else's mind. Like, what are they thinking of me while I'm doing this? And it would just hamper my self-expression because I don't know how to be good enough for whoever's listening to me or watching me or whatever. You know, like I don't know how to be because I don't know who I am. Like, I don't know who I am without somebody else's approval. That's where the confidence issue really was. It was like, I need to know that I'm good enough in order to be confident, and I'll never know that I'm good enough because it's always out there. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was external,
yeah.
it was outside you.
And so owning my decisions, owning my self-expression, at first, for a long time, I didn't even know. It's like what you said about people not knowing what their purpose was. I didn't even know what that was. Couldn't even identify, like I couldn't come up with who I am because I was such a shapeshifter in different situations, which is honestly a great quality. I mean, you know, if I had owned it as such. So confidence is, it has so many dimensions to it. There is, like, the fake it till you make it thing is an interesting point. Because on one hand, there's so much surrender that you must do to your own purpose, your own truth, your inner knowing, that really getting close with yourself, developing a relationship with yourself where you check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, what do I need right now? Like, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? You know, like such a huge thing that we hardly ever ask ourselves. Take a moment. What am I feeling right now? And just noticing that, and then asking yourself, like, what do I need right now? And these little shifts of checking in with yourself and putting yourself in the center of your life as the authority in your life is one of the steps, one of the biggest steps for me of becoming more confident in myself. And then the thing about fake it till you make it that I thought was interesting is that like it is a process to build confidence. And so sometimes the things that we want in our lives seem so big and scary. And we have to be willing to take some steps where we don't feel the confidence yet, you know? And they don't have to be the kind of steps where you traumatize yourself. But there's steps that feel edgy. And there's steps that build your confidence because once you do them little by little, you see, I'm safe to do this. I'm safe to take this step. It's safe for me to be this rebellious or this or it's safe for me to be this visible, for example. It's safe for me to say no to this person. It's safe for me to stand up for what I feel inside. And so there are those little steps where you can take on the initiation of, I'm going to stand for myself here and possibly let down someone or possibly disappoint someone or possibly get some element of disapproval from someone. Someone won't agree with me. And yet I'm going to stand in my power because I know how I feel about this one situation. And so like those are like building block moments, you know? And the more you check in with yourself and know how you're feeling and what you desire to feel, you know, what you're feeling, what's missing. Sometimes what's missing is a huge, great question, you know, what's missing or what do I need? And stand in that. And it's easy to stand in that when it comes to you for yourself in a vacuum, in a room. Like, I know what I want, like I'm good with myself. But when you start going out into the world, into your situations and dealing with other human beings, that's when the little initiations come in, where I have to own what I want at the possible expense of disappointing someone, you know, or letting someone down or being judged. So yes.
Which brings back in the
Yes,
I don't give a
exactly, exactly.
rebellious.
And those little moments are like initiations into that rebellion, you know. They're building blocks. And yeah, so confidence, there's like there's this side of extreme self-love, self-care, where you really get to know yourself, and that you can all do, you know, you do it with yourself, and you build this deep relationship with yourself where you're taking care of yourself. And then going out into the world and having these moments where you have to stand for that, you know, with other people in your life. Those steps really build the confidence of being that way everywhere in your life, where you get to the point where you're like, I don't give an F. I don't give an F. This is me. This is how I feel. This is what I want for myself. This is my truth, and I'm standing for it.
I love that two-part solution. So I definitely had to do this myself in many different areas. I've always been a very just naturally confident person, but for me, which I think a lot of people, even yourself, probably resonate with, is like, I will be confident in myself, and then some shitty societal based judgment, you know, or trend or something, like you see it or you hear it, or it's just a thing out in the public, you know, and you compare yourself to that, and then you're like, oh, you know, that makes me feel not confident, you know, oh, I'm not as good, or whatever, the judgment. So step number one, eliminate that stuff that you're going to be, that if you can, you know, try to not pay attention to the comparing yourself to other things, you know, and then that'll help you not have low self-esteem, because, you know, you're not comparing yourself. And then I think the external validation is something that a lot of us women need, whether we're getting validation from our husband or our dad, or, you know, I don't know, our boss, partner or something. It's like, it's like you can't be happy with your work or what you created or what you did or who you are or what you look like unless someone says, good job, you did a great job, you know, your essay was amazing, A+, and, you know, all of those little things that tell you, oh, I did good, oh yay, I'm actually worthy. And so I found in my inner work that, unless I was getting this, like, it was weird. It's like, I knew I was doing great things and great work, but it was like, I was missing that piece of, unless someone said like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Unless I was getting that feedback, I wouldn't fully like give myself permission to be proud of myself, you know? And so it was like this external validation was robbing part of my confidence. And so one of the things that I had to do, and this is never taught. And one of the things that we are never ever taught, that you and I are both learning, that we're learning very much right now, is to sit in a quiet place, put some music on, don't be interrupted, and literally close your eyes and go inside of yourself and ask yourself
Yes.
questions. So once I discovered, oh my gosh, I need external validation to feel 100% proud of myself, then I said, where did this come from? So I close my eyes, I get still, and I say, Sarah, where did this come from? And we'll find out. Usually we find out, like you said in the beginning, it's something from our childhood, some sort of a trauma or something, you know? So I want you to speak to that a little bit.
But one of the, I it's so normal to me now that I like forget to even talk about like these daily reconnecting with yourself, you know, and through self-care practices. But for me, the meditation is key. Like getting close to yourself, going within, like just having a moment where you you're not dealing with the external. You're giving yourself time to be with yourself and really check in. And sometimes it's just being. For me, sometimes it's just being, like a meditation where I'm breathing and just, you know, being with the breath. And then other times it's I will be, you know, asking a question and receiving an answer and working through something, you know. But it's so essential. That's where you really develop the relationship with yourself. That's where you really develop that you are your own authority, because you have these times of day where you're not meeting the needs of everyone else in your household or society in general, and trying to, again, meet all of the criteria of what your productive day looks like. You know, like those moments where you give yourself to go within, reconnect, check in with how you're feeling, process something. Every day I wake up with something to process. Every day, you know, like, I mean, and it's great. Like, honestly, it's gotten to the point where if I have something to process, if a challenge comes up, I'm like, there is a gift here. Like, there's an opportunity here. Like, I'm kind of interested to see what's on the other side of this, you know? Like, because
so when you say process, you literally mean like within a quiet place, you sit, you do meditation, and you close your eyes and you get still and you talk to yourself in your
for
mind.
Me, I love to talk to myself out loud in a mirror. Honestly, like, and I know, and I started doing this in the car for a period of time during the pandemic when I lost all of my my music gigs. I was doing some DoorDash, and I started doing this during DoorDashing. and I would just talk to myself like as if I'm two different people, as if there's one side of me that's my leading self. This is what I call my leading self. And she really just asks questions. Well, why do you feel that way? Where did that come from? Those questions that lead you into your own inner stuff. And then my other self would like respond to this, questioning, probing, and things become unearthed, things become unraveled. If you really allow yourself to go into it and give yourself the time and the space and the vulnerability with yourself to go into where these emotions lie, you really dig up some things. And that it's not only an insight, if you really get into it and let the emotions through, and sometimes this will involve crying and or getting angry, you know, like if you really start to let the emotions through, you will process the emotions so that they no longer live in your body. Another thing that I do is, like I'm huge on tapping. I don't know if that's like, this is one of these things that, I don't know if your audience knows about this stuff, but like, I mean, people in my life will think that I'm nutso for doing this kind of thing. But like, again, I don't give an F anymore because this stuff works, you know? So I do the tapping. I will go through whatever I'm feeling and just like verbal diarrhea it all out, like rant about it. And the tapping.
So tapping, demonstrate tapping.
I've seen it a couple ways. I do tapping that's, this is a method called rapid relief technique. And it's developed by Sarah Longoria, who's a coach I used to follow, but now she runs a whole company called Hey You Human. So if you want to know more about this, go to them, because I'm not certified in it, but like, so it really is, there's points that you tap on the middle of the head, between the eyebrows, right here, like at your temple or whatever you call it, under the eye, right under the nose, right under the lip, and then right under your collarbone, and then before this area right here, like at the bottom of your rib cage, or like really kind of next to your boob. And
that's actually, your kidneys.
Yes, and they're all adrenals. These tapping points are they're meridian points. They're correlated with like the same points that are based, that the acupuncture is based on, and they're basically like energy centers where energy gets stored in your body. So they correlate to your energetic system. And the idea is when you tap on these points and go into the emotion, it helps you release the emotion out of your body. Again, I don't know the science on this. I am working on getting certified with this so that I can like explain it well. And I'm one of those people who like, my logic side really wants to totally understand how this stuff works. But with this one thing, not this one thing, but this is one of the things that I've done it so much that I know it works. So I don't even care what the exact science is anymore, because it works so well for me that I will just, it works. So I will do that while I'm going through how I'm feeling. And if I'm
so you'd be like asking yourself, like the probing, and you're like asking yourself a question.
Sometimes I'll
like this, and then you're like,
I'll be like, how am I feeling right now? And I'll be like, you know, something, for example, if I'm doing this authentically right now, you know, well, no, hang on. So earlier I was doing one where I was like feeling, selfishness. God, I will go into something like, I'm such a selfish person. I'm so freaking selfish. Like, why the heck do I think that I can have all of my cake and eat it too? Like, who the F do I think I am? You know, like, why do I think that I could have all of this in my life? You know, going through all of the thoughts that are in your head, and usually it's negative stuff. I mean, it's always going to be negative stuff that you're trying to release, and it's whatever is hanging on you right now. Like whatever is there for you. So I could, for example, be like, how the F do you know what you're talking about? Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know the science behind this stuff. Why would you ever think that this would work for somebody, or you could help somebody do this when you don't know what the F you're talking about? You know what I mean? Like these are just the thoughts that go through your head. And as you tap them out and say them and like really go into it, and sometimes it gets really gritty. Like sometimes you say some shit about yourself that you didn't know was in there, you know? You get really authentic with yourself and go through the tapping points. At some point you will feel the emotion lift. Like it's the weirdest thing. You feel the emotion lift, and sometimes you'll be mid-sentence and you're like, what? I don't even feel it anymore, you know? And you'll just like start laughing about it, because it's like it doesn't have a grip on you anymore. And a lot of times for me at that point, like an affirmation will come through out of it, you know, like for example, you know, for this, you don't know what you're talking about, you know, like I'm worthy as I am. My experience is my evidence, you know, things like that. I was born worthy, those kinds of things, you know, things that really, and you feel them at that point, instead of where a lot of us try and put affirmations over top of things that we're already feeling a bunch of negativity, and we try and put an affirmation on top of it, and we can't like feel that affirmation. This tapping technique clears out all of the negative emotions so that you can feel the affirmation afterwards. Yeah,
wow,
so
that's beautiful.
that was like the fastest. I think that's the first time, to be honest, that I've ever tried to explain this tapping thing, because it's one of these things that like is such a personal exploration that it might sound ridiculous to people, but whatever. So I highly recommend it. I don't give an
I
F.
don't give a
Yeah, I
F.
highly recommend it. It really helps. It really helps process negative feelings and your feelings that hang on you that you don't want, dictating your life.
Yeah. Well, I think tapping is probably the least weird
Yeah.
of the things we do.
Yeah, I do some pretty weird stuff.
I've thank you for sharing all of that. Honestly, I felt like you explained it really well. I personally have known about tapping for a couple of years now, but
Mhm.
I've never used it, I guess, as daily or
Yeah.
as constant as you're explaining. And so you kind of got me
Yeah.
thinking like, ooh, I should try that more. But um, one of the things that oh, I had such a good point when you
Yeah.
were going into all of that. Um, but yeah, like coming back to these are things that a lot of us just aren't taught when it comes to
Yeah.
our health. And I did a post the other day about the 10 factors that are
Mhm.
causing thyroid illness. Thyroid illness. No one ever picks up on my
Mhm.
parentheses around thyroid illness because I
Yeah.
truly don't believe in that term and I
Mhm.
don't give that term any power. I really do think that there's multiple factors when it comes to any illness, any symptom. I just know too much at this point to like give in to the whole like, oh, you're just
Mhm.
sick because you're sick. Like, no, there's things we need to heal. And in spiritual trauma and stuck energy was is like those two big terms,
Yeah.
like spiritual trauma, stuck energy, which is what you're
Yes.
talking about
Yeah.
releasing in your tapping is is huge. I think for literally every I don't know if there's a non-traumatized
Yeah.
person
No, I
that
mean,
exists on this planet.
again, like back to our 6-year-old self, like it doesn't matter how big the trauma was. Like we made stuff very important when we were 6 about our survival, or 6 or whatever age, it's
Yeah.
like we're all carrying around some trauma, you know?
And a lot of
Yeah,
things happen as
absolutely.
adults too. We get
Absolutely.
traumatized as adults. The most of my trauma was
Yeah.
sustained as a young
You're so right.
adult. That now I'm having to process
Yeah.
as a middle-aged adult. Um, and so this is one of the things that I really want to start
Yeah.
teaching more is how to dedicate an hour to your day. I mean, I personally do
Mm-hmm.
about 2 to 3 hours, but I think starting, okay, well, if you're
Mm-hmm.
just fresh off the boat and you've never done this kind of stuff, then
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
30 minutes to start, where you just literally carve out 30 minutes, I'd say 30, because the time flies when you're
It
in these
does.
processes, you kind of lose,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like maybe an hour because you lose the concept of time when you're really deep in
Yeah.
these processes of healing. But I would encourage everyone to start carving out an hour of their time. I love to do it first thing in the morning, but if you're rushing out the door, or you're going to work and you've got kids and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and that's just not good for you, a good time for you, then try to find
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the night to be able to set aside 30 minutes to an hour. I used to literally, I'd pick up the kids from school, and then I would get them like homework done. I'd get them settled. I'd finish up my work. And before starting dinner, I would walk out my front door, go over to my favorite tree. I would sit down. I'd
Mm-hmm.
bring my music. I listen
Yes.
to like healing tones or a guided meditation. I would sit under my tree. Literally
Yeah.
nothing special about this tree, nothing special about my neighborhood, but it was just a moment I dedicated to myself for closing my eyes, taking some deep breaths, bringing
Yeah.
myself back from my work day. And honestly, for me as a mom, it was more of like a transition out of work and back into what
Yeah.
does my family need for me, and like it's like you called yourself
Yeah.
back so you can give more in a way,
Absolutely.
right? Um, but it's really important for everyone to start putting this sort of a practice in your day where you're closing your eyes, you're talking to yourself, and you're getting clear on
Yep.
the bitch brain chatter. That's
Exactly.
what you were basically saying, is that's what I call it. It's the bitch brain
Yeah.
chatter that we have all day long that loves to sabotage us. And it's like you
Yes.
confront the bitch brain and you know, and you're like, why are you saying these things to me?
Yes,
What's up? You know,
exactly. And
like, let's
yeah,
talk.
that tapping. So
Mm-hmm.
there's like the conversation component. Sometimes I do the conversation component while tapping. Other times I'll just do it while driving. You know, if I'm driving, like it's like your leading self talking to your bitch brain. I'm so glad that you named it that, because I couldn't think of what to call it. You know, it's your leading self asking your bitch brain what like what's up? Why do you think that? Where did you get that from? You know, and so you're like you're challenging your bitch brain to, like, you know, unravel it. The tapping is like the same thing, except you're just letting your bitch brain rant the F out, you know, just like completely rant. The more you let the bitch brain completely rant, the more the energy will release. Cause it's the craziest feeling. It'll just, the grip will release. But the beauty about what you're saying about this 30 minutes, creating this 30-minute space, is that there are so many modalities and methods and ways and tools we can bring into those 30 minutes. It's whatever works for you. You know, like if you don't vibe with tapping, then cool. There's another method that works just as well for you. If you're more of a journaler, like some people love to journal. Some people process everything in a journal. For me, I can't write fast enough for my brain. Like, it doesn't work for me. It's too slow. So it doesn't work for me. But for some people, that is like their go-to, you know? Breath work is another thing. And on YouTube, there are so many guided breath work, guided meditation. You can do your meditation just you or guided, you know, like there are the healing sounds like you talked about. You can find them on YouTube. It's amazing. There's so many tools that we have like to reconnect to ourselves. It becomes just prioritizing that is important for us. It's key. It's essential. For me, like you said, I do it in the morning because I know my daughter's going to wake up. I am a much better mom when I've already done my hour. I make it an hour. Like, I make sure it's an hour these days, you know, because I look forward to it at this point. But I'm a much better mom when I do that, you know, and I want to make sure, I want to be in that space by the time she gets up, just because it's more pleasant for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of women, they carry their pain around on their shoulders, right? Tense shoulders, tight muscles. And one of the things that I've learned with everything that we're teaching right now is to pay attention to that, you know, specifically. So, like, for example, I had a just terrible moment with my ex-husband a couple of days ago. He told me some really bad, upsetting news. And I realized that I was just allowing all of the thoughts to loop instead of sitting down and actually working through them and talking to them and processing them. And I was neglecting it because my daughter had a rash. She was really sick. I wasn't sleeping. In the middle of, you know, this, I got this bad news, and my shoulders started killing me. And it was like, oh my gosh, my body is screaming at me to release the emotions in my heart that are constricting all of me right now. And so, like you said, I'm like, now that I've learned to do these processes and I get this emotion out, I'm almost like excited, you know, because I want to purge it, because it's like heavy and it doesn't feel good on my heart, and my shoulders hurt.
And
you know?
And a lot of us don't even, before we start doing this kind of work, we don't even notice the cues our body's giving us. You know, we just live with it. It becomes normal. So, I mean, part of that, like giving yourself that time in the morning, really reconnecting to your body and how you feel, and often, maybe always, how you feel emotionally, there's a correlation in your physical body. You know, you can find where that lives in you, and you can find ways to move it out of your body. You know, the more that you really connect with your body, you can find ways to move that stuck emotion and stuck energy out of your body. And then you notice when you're going around your day, when something happens that triggers that, and you can feel it, and you can feel it. And as you develop that relationship, you can feel it like that, and you have the tools to release it. That is your power. Like that is confidence. That is power. And sometimes, you know, even if things like that come up, I'll be like, take a moment. Like I'm going to go to the bathroom, but I'm not really going to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom and just like do a little bit of energy work, or a little bit of tapping, or a little bit of breathing, and just try and move some of this, you know, because the more you practice it, it doesn't take long amounts of time, but it's so essential that we are connected with it and working with it throughout our day, because it tends to pile up, you know, and tends to pile up, and the longer we let it pile up, the longer it causes chronic issues for us.
Yes, thank you for saying that, because a lot of women ask me or tell me, like, I'm just so tired, I have no energy. And I'm like, okay, that is a very multifaceted symptom within itself, because, I mean, everything is connected, right? All of our systems are connected, our spiritual, our mental, our emotional, and our physical. And honestly, from what I've learned from reversing hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's myself, is our physical symptoms that manifest are actually it's the last sign. It's almost like you've now crossed over into the threshold where you're really not good spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And so, as I started to clean up and clear out my life to be able to reclaim my purpose, reclaim my power, get out of my abusive relationship, put myself first, and all the things I had to do, and prioritizing rest, prioritizing happiness and my self-care, and all the things that moms get in this trap of neglecting, my energy started to return. But I can say that it can be connected to like a low adrenal fatigue and low thyroid function, and low, you know, gut imbalances. If you guys want to know more, go look at my post, the 10 things that really cause thyroid illness. But as I have learned to connect, like to pay attention to my energy, like my physical energy, the energy I have to make it through my day, right? To clean and to work and to do all the things and coach. If I, like I was telling you, I've noticed if I am not honoring and noticing my emotions, then I will have a dip in my energy, in my physical energy. I won't be able to do enough at work. I'll feel more tired at night. And then once I'm like, oh, this is happening, you know, it's like, I'll get my journal out and I'll just be like you said, kind of the same thing as like, what's wrong? Why are you sad? Why are you mad? Why are you worried? Why are you stressed? What's under the low energy? And sometimes, I have to cry. I don't even know why. I just start bawling. I bawl it out. Or sometimes, like you said, I'll find like a deep breath work meditation, and I'll do some really like breath of fire and stuff, and like move the energy through my body, the emotions, and that makes like tears come up and stuff. But there is an actual physical way to move those emotions through your body that relieve the physical symptoms. And it is absolutely
and you're
amazing.
So right. It's like physical. I experience this so often, and it amazes me every time about how your physical energy, it feels like you have no energy, and then you realize it's actually an emotion that you're carrying around, that all of your energy is being, I don't know, it feels like a black hole of energy, you know? Sometimes it feels like my energy is going over out here to some person I'm worried about is thinking something, and all my energy is being sucked out over there, you know? But sometimes it feels like there's just this like black hole of energy, and it's an emotional experience that we're hanging on to. It's an emotion. There's an emotion in there. And when we can process the emotion and free ourselves from that, our energy comes back to us. We literally get that vitality back. It blows my mind every time I have that experience. Yeah.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter how
Right.
much caffeine you drink. It's not going to bring back that energy. You're
Yeah.
just going to get jittery and have
Yeah.
anxiety. So don't do
Yeah.
that. You have to get
Yes.
clear on your emotions. And this is one ginormous, because everything is a big spider web. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen
Yeah.
mycelium, which is the mushrooms that connect under trees. It's just incredible, the connection the mycelium has, all the tree roots,
Yeah.
and it makes everyone talk. That's
Yeah.
how our bodies are. And so in order to restore your inner rebel, restore your confidence or boost your confidence, or all the things that have to do with self-esteem and self-love, and this whole
Mhm.
theme that we've been talking about, it really does come down to
Yeah,
like energy
absolutely.
maintenance.
Yeah, and yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I put when I was dealing with a lot of this like energy highs and lows and stuff, I just put sticky notes all around in random places that were like, what do you need right now? What do you need right now?
Oh, cool.
Because that
I love
answer,
that.
again, it brings you back to yourself. And sometimes it's 10 minutes of meditation. Sometimes it's tapping for me. Sometimes it's a glass of water. Sometimes it's I forgot to eat breakfast, you know? Like
Yes.
sometimes it's like I want to put on some like dance energy music and like just vibe for a second. Like the answer to that question runs the spectrum, but the question is essential.
Yeah.
Asking yourself the question is essential.
Yeah. It's like maybe exactly. I love that, because yeah, I had that moment the other day. I was sitting at my desk and my body, I was like kind of squirming around, and I'm like, you know, I don't feel good right
Yeah.
now. And then I did that. Like I did a check-in, like, what's wrong with me? What do I need? Basically, what do I need right now? And it was three things: water, stretching,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
sunlight. And I was
Whew.
like,
Sunlight. and
mm-hmm,
and water,
mm-hmm,
man. I don't know
mm-hmm.
about you, but I forget about water. And then like most of the time when I need when I could use a glass of water, you know? Like it's amazing. Like we forget sometimes to check in with ourselves, and that's just so cute for all of this. Mm.
Right. So, wow, you dropped so many awesome points. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing
Yes,
all
you're
of this
welcome.
wisdom. I keep up the exploration of bringing back your
Yeah.
high school rebellious side. I think let's see what Anna Mello says: process the emotion and the energy comes back.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Yes.
Good. Yay. I love that. I'm glad that hit home with you. Yeah. Um, I'm so glad that we were able to share all these tools and techniques. It is something that, you know, once upon a time I thought was so
Same.
weird. Meditation. I used to make fun of the meditation community
Right.
and the man buns and the sitting
I
and the whole
know.
zen, you know. And then right,
Yeah.
and then I was sick
Yeah.
for 10 years. And I was like, I don't want to be sick anymore. What is all of this, you know? And it's honestly been what's
Yeah.
saved me, you know, like really like diving into meditation and breath
Mhm.
work and affirmations and flooding myself with positive music, with healing tones. If you guys don't know about healing frequencies, just go on YouTube and type that in. You'll see the different
Yeah.
hertz and stuff that come up. And I pick it based on like
Yeah.
what mood I'm in, you know, like what feels good for me right now. I'll pick a hertz, and it's so soothing, and it literally has scientific proof behind the fact that it
Yeah.
heals
And
yourself.
all we need to do to find
So,
that proof is like try the things and find the things that work for us. Like it's so beautiful. We get to create our whole menu of tools that work for us if we're willing to experiment with it and like trust ourselves and trust our feeling and our inner knowing and really go there in the exploration of what's available to us. That is just powerful.
yeah. And so just to recap before we wrap it up, you guys. So the healing, so the things that we encourage you guys to explore, like Leah pointed out, it was the tapping. You could probably YouTube tapping. I've seen a lot on that, and learn more about that. And you could try that. I definitely am going to try that more. Breath work,
meditation,
different styles of breath work.
Yes. Meditation, journaling. I do self-talk a lot. Self-talk for me is great because it again, like the tapping, it takes the spiraling bitch brain out of your head and puts it in your consciousness, so you're actually hearing it. And there's something different about letting it play in the background in your mind and actually putting it into words. Like, you confront it differently. So self-talk is great. And the healing tones, like we talked about. Dance, I do some like body movement, and you can just explore with what your body's asking you to do. If you do yoga, this is a good way to like entry point into it. But like, you can feel the difference that like hip circles make for you, or like shoulder rolls make for you, and and those kind of things lead into this whole world of playing with your body and seeing how moving your body changes your energy. Yes. And what else? There's a million things. There's a million things to explore.
Yeah. Those are like the basics. I mean, that's enough to start with. Explore just those basics. And then I think once you like play with those and find your favorite ones, for me, like, it depends on what level of self-care I need that day. Like right now, like I mentioned with my ex, and I'm carrying around some really like heavy kind of sad news, I'm going to need more of a deeper process to help move this energy out, to help me cry, to help me release. And so for me, because I've learned, I'll probably need some really like heavy breath work. And the breath work, you guys, as you move your abdomen and you're really breathing and moving the oxygen, it really opens up the floodgates to like pour your energy out and get that pain and the hurt and the sadness and the worry and the frustrations and the fear out. So yeah, like she said, just play with it. And if you guys do and you have awesome experiences, share with us, come back, DM us, comment, let us know what you find you love.
Absolutely.
We'd love to hear that. So, well, is there anything you'd like to say to leave us on a certain note?
I think we've covered a lot here. It's been a pleasure being on here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I had fun.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Leah. Yeah, I love it. We'll do it again. Why don't you let everyone know where they can
Sure, yeah. I spend most of my time over here on Instagram, so that's the best place to contact me. My Instagram is Leah Gastler. That's Gastler. And yeah, I do private coaching. I don't have any programs running right now, but I do have private coaching spaces available. Private coaching is really my jam. I love the one-on-one experience. I love doing long-term because we really like work on building that confidence over a long period, over like a 6-month period of time together, really get some great results and get into the habits and the changes of mindset and the changes of our habits and practices that make us feel different by the end of it. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can DM me, we can converse about it. And yeah, other than that, like, stay in touch. I put out content like every day lately, so it's fun.
Yeah, her posts are amazing. Every time I read them, I'm like, wow. Like I'm like, this is a thinker, you know? So she's very deep, she's very knowledgeable, and as you see, she's very sweet and personable. And so yeah, go follow Leah, give her some love. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful that you got something out of us. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my podcast. It's Thursday Thyroid Talks. I'm always trying to bring on the most amazing guests I can. And I also spotlight thyroid warriors. So if you're a thyroid warrior and you have a story that you'd be willing to share in order to help edify and connect the entire thyroid community, go ahead, reach out to me. Let me know, DM me, email me at coachsarahjoy1@gmail.com. Because it's crazy. Just sharing our stories, you guys, like Leah and I have done today, just sharing our personal stories, personal ways we move through our lives. We help others. And right now, with the systems being so corrupt and broken, we have to pull together as women, and we have to support each other and help each other and teach each other and all the amazing things. And that's how we're going to continue to grow instead of
Absolutely.
go backwards. We need to grow together as a collective.
Yes, we're here for each other. That is so powerful.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Well, I will talk to you soon.
Take care.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.